Well, hello, everybody. I'm Albina, and this is Roger. And we want to welcome you to this call. And this call was designed for um, yoga community leaders. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for being here with us. And I just want to tell you really quickly what today's topics are, what we'll talk about. We'll talk about our leadership in these uncertain and crazy, wild times, and what it means to be a leader. And we'll talk about how we can generate some revenues even now in these times. And then we'll also talk about government assistance that is available to that may be available to all of us in these times. And what I also want to say is that we're not saying that we have all the answers. What we're doing right now, I don't think anybody has any answers right now. But what we can do is come up with some ideas, and we'll share with you some ideas that we came up with. And the intention of this community is for us to all support each other, to exchange some ideas, and hopefully to inspire, empower, and uplift each other. Okay, so let's start by well, you know what? Let us first tell you a little bit about us, because I see a lot of you guys on the call are the people that we know intimately and closely, and there are some people on this call and people who will be watching this recording who are not familiar with who we are. So I'm Albina, and this is Roger.
Hello.
Do you want to introduce us?
No, go ahead.
So in 2008, we started with one small one-room yoga studio in Houston, Texas. And then over the span of 10 years, we grew that community to 7 thriving yoga studios, a retreat center. We're here at this retreat center in Taos, New Mexico. It's called Blue Sky Retreat Center. We had a juice bar, an online yoga video platform. And a couple of years ago, we sold that business, and now we focus largely on our Blue Sky Retreat Center. I also coach yoga studio owners. My background is I am a CPA, certified public accountant, and also I like to call myself a spiritual entrepreneur. And Roger brings his legal background. Roger is an attorney. So he will be chiming in on some of the topics as far as government assistance goes. So this is why we're both of us are here on this call. So let us meditate. Let us ground down and meditate. So if you're walking around, perhaps you can find a quiet space where you can sit down. And if your legs are crossed, uncross your legs and then lift up through your chest and put your hands on your thighs, turning your palms up towards the sky, and just close your eyes. And exhale all the breath out of your lungs, emptying out completely. And take a slow, deep, feel-good inhale. Exhale, relax your shoulders, relax your belly, relax the bottom of your pelvis. Take another really deep, slow, nourishing inhale. Exhale, relax the space behind your eyes. Relax your throat, your shoulders, your upper traps. And take another big breath in into the top and the back of your brain. Exhale, relaxing the top and the back of your brain, relaxing the sides, the backs of your eyes. And breathe deeply. And right now, I invite you to ground down, to connect with your breath, to connect with the innate intelligence, wisdom of your body. Connect with your own inner hearing and divine guidance. And in these uncertain times, I ask for divine guidance. I ask for support. I ask for creativity. I ask for help. Help us, guide us, lead us. And there is a passage from A Course in Miracles that I really like, and it goes something like this. The presence of fear in your life is a sure sign that you've been relying on your own strength. The presence of fear in your life is a sure sign that you have been relying on your own strength. And in these times when I catch myself in fear and worry, I remind myself that there is a power available to all of us, and that I can always lean on that power, and I can ask for support. I can ask for guidance. So breathe that in. And then open your eyes. All right, so let's start. And please feel free to chime in anytime you have something to add. These are the most unprecedented times. We have never experienced a global pandemic, anything like this in our entire lifetimes. And it's so easy. It's like a knee-jerk reaction. It's so easy for us to go into fear and to go into blame and complaining and pointing fingers and worrying about the future. It's the most natural thing that we do. And, I heard somebody say that it takes the same amount of energy to go into fear and to worry as it does to lean on your faith. So I truly believe that as leaders, we cannot afford to operate and to live our lives from a place of fear. Our communities, our teams, our clients need us to step up and to lead. And our mood matters. And it's not even our community, our family. The way we show up in front of our family, in front of our children matters. Because with our energy, with our thoughts, with our inner state, with our energetic vibration, we have an effect on everybody around us. So the first thing that I want us to do is to just take a deep breath. And instead of like that knee-jerk reaction, going into fear, I invite us all to make a conscious choice to step up and to lean on our faith and open up for guidance, because that's when we get creative, innovative ideas. We can come up with solutions not when we're in place of fear, but when we consciously make that choice to step up and to lead and to make decisions. And sometimes those are difficult decisions. And this is why, you're not in this alone. We're in this together. And moreover, we have the greatest force in the entire universe on our side. When we step out of fear, when we step into faith, I truly believe that we get access to that guidance, to that support, to that infinite blessings. Woo! Can somebody say amen, sister? Oh, yes. I feel some type of way, I feel a visceral reaction. So just to help you with some awareness, I want to bring to light, 3 common ways that we go into fear. These are the behavioral things that we do. And to be honest, I caught myself in these vicious cycles. So many of us, when we're in our less evolved state, we go into these 3 things, and I put that in the email. I don't know if you had a chance to read that, but the first one is avoiding or denial. And it's saying something it's the language of a victim, right? I cannot do anything about that. All I can do is just wait. It's out of my control. I can't do anything about that. So that's avoidance. It's the language of a victim. Another common behavioral reaction, so to speak, is conforming. I believe what I'm told. I trust what our authorities, tell us to do. Our authorities, our government will figure it out. Somebody will come up with a decision. That's also not it's not a very empowering state to be in, and it's not a very empowering state to operate from. And then lastly, I see some people rebelling. They're totally in denial. They're in denial of what experts are saying, the data, the facts. And they're, to this day, in spite of all the numbers, they're saying it's a hoax. And they're just totally throwing bombs right and left. And to be honest, I've been doing all 3, sometimes all 3 simultaneously. Yes, I hear Monica. Yes, absolutely. And I think it's a natural thing for us to do. And all of us here, you wouldn't be here on this call with us. You wouldn't be doing what you're doing, leading your yoga communities, if you weren't a spiritual entrepreneur, if you weren't a light worker. I know that deep in your heart, your passion, your drive is to serve people. I know that your desire is to heal people, is to help people, is to serve the people that you love. And, as spiritual entrepreneurs, as light workers, I believe deeply in my heart that we all have the ability, we have the strength, we have the power to step up and step out of fear and lean on to that power greater than us. And hopefully by the end of this call, we all are going to be in that place, in that wonderful place of inspiration and creativity and divine guidance. Do you want to add something?
I would only add that just like we remind our students and our community and our teams, this is what the yoga practice is for. This is what we've been practicing for, because times are actually always uncertain. And what this moment is highlighting is just how uncertain everything is and how fragile our idea of security really is. So we've always been leading in moments of uncertain times. This is just highlighting it for everyone, right? It's just how this moment is what we're practicing. This is what the practices are for, to give us something to lean into when fear comes up, when uncertainty arises, when things are seem to be outside of our control. We have something that we can do to start to get centered and to start to move from a place where we know that we can do something, right? We can work on what's happening here, and from this internal state that we can generate for ourselves through our practices, right? And through our faith, then we can move forward. Things are always uncertain. It's a collective uncertainty right now. And yet we're being called in this moment to step up and lead. And so and what I think Albina is trying to say is that your internal state starts first. And we all have practices that we know can help us generate an internal state from where we feel empowered. We're the creator. That's what I would add.
Amen. Aho, aho. Yes. And I also want to say that none of us know what's going to happen. We don't know what's going to happen. And I truly believe that we need to create our new future, because I don't know, honestly, I don't know if we will ever go to the way things used to be. I mean, these are the reality. I don't know if everything is going to be the way it used to be. So what we do as leaders, we don't react. Leaders anticipate. Leaders look down the road into the future, and leaders make decisions, and leaders lead their communities, lead their teams, lead their customers, lead their clients, and lead themselves, right? So again, I just want to emphasize, we don't have the answers. We don't. And nobody in this day and age has any answers. But hopefully, collectively, we can lean on each other and we can shift our inner state so that we can all tap that infinite source of creativity, so that we can innovate and come up with a new way. So instead of reacting and waiting whatever the government says or whatever happens, so that we can create and shape our reality, so that we can shape our destiny. And what I'm saying is, we can only do it when we step out of fear and when we connect to our true power, our innate power. Okay, so what I want to say right now is that people tend to assume the worst. Have you ever been in a situation when, say for example, it's dinner time and Roger is running late and I'm texting him and he's not responding to my text. And even though I want to think of myself as a quite evolved human being, my mind just goes there. I assume the worst. Oh, what if he had a terrible car accident and he's laying around bleeding on the side of the road, and his phone is blocked and nobody can call me, his wife, to tell me that he's dying. Like we tend to assume the worst, when in reality his phone just ran out of battery and he's stuck in traffic, but he's on his way home. So we all tend to assume the worst. And in these crazy, uncertain times, scary times, imagine like how we all assume the worst. And this is why I truly believe that it's so important for us as leaders of our community to communicate with our tribe, communicate openly. I would say like every day, several times a week, communicate openly with your team, with your community, with your yoga students, with your customers, with your clients. Have that face-to-face interaction. This day and age, you can get on Instagram Live, you can get on Facebook Live, you can even record a video and share it. And what I'm saying is, like, sometimes I know that I am myself can go into the place where, well, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. And what if I say something that it's not correct, it's wrong? And in those moments, I want to remind myself that I would much rather be, instead of being right, I want to be real. Like it's like in our marriage, like, do you want to be right or do you want to be loved? So the same principle can be applied to our leadership. You don't have to be right. You can just speak from your heart, from your soul. You can speak to what's present to you and just be real. And what I want to say is, like, I don't think people realize the incredible power of speaking authentically from your heart. So a couple of years ago, when Roger and I used to own 7 yoga studios in Houston, Texas, Hurricane Harvey hit. And I mean, it seemed like it was a terrible, life-changing, like doomsday kind of scenario. The entire city was under the water, and we had to close our business for 8 days. And I know it's not the same, but at the same time, when your business is closed for 8 days, now your businesses have probably been closed for 2-3 weeks at this point. There are no revenues coming in, or there's a huge dip in revenues. You can't pay your yoga teachers, you can't pay your employees, you can't pay your rent, utilities. Like, it's a huge effect on the business. And I remember Raj and I decided to just go live on Facebook to our community and speak from our hearts. And we said, look, guys, this is what's going on. We've been closed for 8 days. The revenues are not coming in. Most of our yoga teachers, if they don't teach yoga, they don't get paid. And a lot of our teachers, this is their only source of revenues. And a lot of our teachers are single moms. So what we did is open up I think it was like GoFundMe or something like that. And we said, hey, if you have any ability to help, please consider doing that. And we'll divvy up the funds, like, in the order of priority. We'll figure it out who needs the most money, and we'll just give it to those people. Some people just teach yoga just for fun. They have full-time work and they just do it for their heart, so they don't really need the money as much as, say, a single mom whose only source of revenue is teaching yoga. And you know what, as a result of that experience, like, when we talked openly from our hearts, so many people across our community stepped up and helped. And I don't remember how many thousands of dollars that we generated, but it was quite significant. And it was such a huge help to those, to those single moms, those single parents who really needed those funds. And I've heard amazing stories. Some of my friends, I'm in this group of business leaders, and they just the other day, they shared amazing stories how their employees are giving half of their paychecks to their coworkers just to help them in these moments of challenges. So we never know unless, ask and it is given, right? And if you never ask, you may never receive. So what I invite you, one of the ideas that I'm offering to you, coming from my own experience, is that when you speak openly, when you speak from your heart, perhaps you can ask for help. And and also, there is spiritual part, there is a hard part, but there's also reality part. Make it easy for people to help you. If you use mind body software, you can set up a donation, and you can set it up like $10, $50, $100 are open, like an open option, and people can log in into the mind body accounts, and they can give you money just because they love you, they want to support you, and hopefully right now you are adding massive value. And I know all of you are offering yoga classes online, you're offering meditations online, so it's both. Do you know what I mean? Do you want to add something?
I would say, just going back to the point, was that you're allowed to be in process too. And I think a lot of times as leaders, we think, well, until I can say something brilliant and mind-blowing and very specific and certain so that everybody has a direction to go, then I'm not going to speak. If I don't have something ultra spiritual that's going to change everybody's life, then I'm not going to speak. Or if it shows me having a weak moment or needing help, I'm not going to speak. And that actually puts a false facade out there, and it doesn't let other people feel as though they can have their process. So I think leading with vulnerability in this time is the essence of what we're being called to do. And that might mean, hey, I need your help. Hey, I need y'all to not, those people who have steady paychecks coming in, to not cancel your auto pay.
Yeah.
I need you guys to share out this Facebook Live to all the other people at the studio who maybe I'm not reaching, or in our community. We did that GoFundMe for our teachers. We had our teachers basically just apply for the money. And we were able to make everybody whole for that 8 days. And 8 days doesn't seem like a lot maybe in this moment, but if you live paycheck to paycheck, a quarter of your income just disappears. We knew for a lot of people that was the difference between them making rent or not. And so we just said that. And we got judged for it a little bit by like this many people, but those aren't our people, right? Like they were like, well, why are you asking for money in the middle of this crisis? I'm like, I'm not asking for me. You weren't listening.
Yeah.
Like I'm asking because this is, money that they would normally be generating that we don't have access to right now because you're not coming in.
Yeah. And, some people, imagine everybody's freaking out, right? Everybody's worried. When they're canceling their memberships with your studio, they're probably not even thinking it through. They're probably not even thinking how it's affecting your business, because they're just consumed with their own worries. So when you record a video like that and you send it out, you get to remind them, hey guys, I really need that $79 a month that is coming in. I rely on it. Please consider doing my yoga classes online, meditations online. Please consider not canceling your membership. And I truly believe that when you speak from your heart like this, people will be moved. And like Roger said, there will be some haters who will judge. And, it's so easy to just point fingers and just judge you, or it's so much harder to freaking step up and like defy the odds and lead and make the difficult decision. And this is what you and I are. We are the entrepreneurs. There is a 0.1% of the people who ever open their own businesses. It takes tremendous courage. You risk everything. You work around the clock. This is who you and I and we are. Like, we're not just those people who are just going to point fingers and hate. We're the ones who make those uncomfortable decisions, who step up, who defy the odds, and who lead. Can somebody say amen? Okay, so make the videos. What I also, maybe there is space for you to invite your yoga teachers to speak from their experiences too. Maybe there are some yoga teachers who will feel comfortable to share, like, hey, I used to teach, 30 yoga classes a week. This is my only source of revenue. And now that the studio is closed, guess what? My revenues went to zero. I get paid zero right now. And just those human stories, I don't know, maybe there is space for that. Or maybe your teachers will want to contribute in like recording a short meditation or a yoga class. Just invite, like, again, you're not in this alone. Lean on your community. Let us all lean on each other.
I would add just doing something like this for your teachers and your team, like just to, hey, let's have a talk. It doesn't have to be like the super produced slick thing. Anybody can get on a Zoom and just connect and say, hey, how are you guys doing? What can we do in this moment? What ideas are you having? How are you feeling? Like a check-in, because I found that a lot of the reason why people come to yoga studios is because of connection, right? Because of community. And right now even though we're feeling physically distant, right? And that doesn't mean we have to disconnect. We can actually connect in a different way. And I think that's important in this moment. Like, I know, like, we're gonna do we're planning on doing a virtual dinner party with our friends, just like this, and we're gonna sit down with our food, and they're gonna be in a different city and sitting down with their food, and maybe we have to go to another little space in here where our kids aren't pulling on our shirts and stuff, but just to be able to see their faces, it's like I don't have any answers for them and they don't have any answers for me, but we can be in it together. And I think that's really important because you have been that space for other people for so long, and we're all missing that right now. The online videos is one aspect, and it doesn't have to be the only aspect. You can say, hey, let's just have a check-in call, community call, or a short meditation, and then we'll all just talk to each other. We'll maybe introduce some topics, and then we can talk about it. And that's a really great way to lead and connect, because that's something that we're all, we're human, and we're social creatures, and we want community. And right now it's kind of scattering to Netflix and Facebook and all that. And those can be tools, right? YouTube, Zoom, Netflix, not Netflix. Although you could have a watch party, right, of some cool movie. But anyway, you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, and what I'm also saying, like, I'd like to connect the dots all the way. What I'm also saying, what we are saying is ultimately that human face-to-face connection may be that place between you making it as a business and not. So instead of curling up and contracting, what we're asking you to do is to step up and open up. And also you can ask yourself, even in these challenging times, how can I serve others in creative and innovative ways? And if you're in fear and worry and overwhelm, you won't have access to creativity. You will not have access to that divine guidance. So what we're saying is do whatever you need to do to step out of fear and connect to love and faith. So for me, it can be my yoga practice, my meditation practice. It can be just like connecting with my husband. Even now, we had a date night just the other day because all the hotels and towels here are closed. We went to a hotel down the street and just kind of had a little getaway. It was super cheap.
We didn't see a single person.
We didn't see anybody, yeah. Or like, I can smooch my kids. And I've been really leaning on my meditation practice. And I'm actually going to give you some ideas next when we get to the practical aspects of what can we do.
Can I add one thing?
Yes, please.
So Albina always says, change the quality of your question that you're asking. A lot of times we're like, what am I gonna do? Right? Like, what am I gonna do? Oh my God, what am I gonna do? Well, that's not a great question because you're gonna get an answer like, I don't know. Or, and so if you change the question, what can I put my creativity into in this moment to continue to serve people? It's not the questions about what's gonna happen, but more of how can I use these gifts and these skills in this moment? What's the opportunity in this moment for me to do something? So for us, we own a hotel and retreat center. It's completely closed. People are starting to cancel their retreats. Please, if you're watching this, please don't cancel your retreat if they're past this month. And I asked myself, what is it that we can do? What do we have the skills to do? What can we do? And what I came up with is like, you know what? Right in this moment, Yoga Alliance is allowing teacher training to be 100% online. And we know how to lead teacher training. Let's put this idea out there that we'll have an online yoga teacher training. And guess what? People are signing up. So now suddenly we have a revenue stream that's coming in, and we're just taking what we already know how to do and putting it in a different format. We have no idea how that's going to look. And people were sitting home going, what am I going to do with myself? And we saw it as an opportunity for people who are already been wanting to do this for so long, and they had the time. And so we tried to make it a little cheaper than we normally would. And now they don't have any excuse not to do it, right? Like, here is an opportunity for people who have always said, oh, one of these days when work allows me, when this happens and that happens. Well, that became an opportunity. So be in the looking for what's this moment presenting me as an opportunity as a leader, not only from a revenue stream, but to offer the gifts that I have in a brand new way that's needed right now, because it's going to be needed in a brand new way. And since you are a leader, that means inherently you're an innovator, and inherently, you can kind of sense what people need, because you've been adapting to that all this time, or you wouldn't still be here.
Yeah. Thank you for that, Roger.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, so how can you serve? Only when you step out of fear, you connect to faith, to connect to love. That's when you get creative ideas. And this is why I've been hitting my meditation pillow like nobody's business. I wake up 5 o'clock in the morning and I just pray and I meditate. And this is when all the great ideas come to me. I don't know what Roger's process is, but he also comes up with really amazing ideas. So yes, you can, for a limited time only, Yoga Alliance allows us to move yoga teacher trainings online through June 30th. So him and I would literally whooped up the promo in like one day and started promoting it. We start our teacher training next week.
It took all day, but we did it in one day.
We worked all day. So if you are a registered yoga school, you can do that. And I would not postpone it. Instead of the usual, it takes 6 weeks to promote and market something, do it in like 2 weeks. Just get it out and just do it. And remember that content, you can always use it again. Another thing, I'm going to come back to your questions, guys, in a minute. Another thing that you can do is, like, I know all of you are offering yoga online and meditation online. And, what are other creative ways? So one of the things that I'm doing also is like, it's called the Abundance Challenge. I'm doing it for myself, but I'm also translating it into Russian, and I'm sharing it with my family in Kazakhstan, so that, this is me not only doing it for myself, but I'm also sharing for others. So in that, and it's helping me so much. So with that in mind, Roger and I have a couple of free challenges that you guys can use. Just go on my website, albinarippy.com, and you can use all of that content and just send it from you. Invite your communities to participate with you, because they have nothing else to do, right? So Roger wrote a book called Love Revolution. It's a 21-day program that is designed to change every aspect of your life. If you go to albinarippy.com, that program is free on my website. You can download the book. You can share it with your, everybody will need to leave their emails to get the book. But like, you can do that 21-day love revolution together. You can download the book right now, read it, and see if you like it. Do it. Offer them something to stay engaged with you. Offer your community something that you can serve them, you can help them step out of fear and change their inner state. Another thing that we have is 21-day manifest challenge, and it's all about manifest magic and like co-creating with the universe. That program is also, I opened up, and it's free right now on my website. It's all on my homepage, albinarippy.com. So also you can use that content and share with your community if you want. This is something that you can do together, and you don't have to reinvent the wheel. I understand that you may be stressed out, you're worried about the bills. So just lean on the content that we created over the years. Please use it. It's just a way to spread the love and light with the world. It would be our honor to help you in any way that we can. Another thing these are just some ideas that I came up with this morning. Another thing that, our reality is that, we're sitting at home and we're eating. I was like jokingly saying, I'm going to roll out of Taos. I'm going to be like round by the time I leave this place. So maybe like one of the things that you can do is Whole 30. It's just the way of living. A couple of years ago, I did it with my community, and we had so many people join. And because once you change the way you eat, you start thinking clearly, you can start seeing clearly, you feel better. So that's another thing that you can do. Whole30 is pretty simple, but if you do it together with your community, it's literally can be life changing.
Add something.
Please.
And we're telling you ideas, and you have your own ideas. You have your own things that you would lean into in times like this. So whatever, if you're doing it for yourself, maybe invite your community in, right?
Yeah.
So our friend sent us another 21-day challenge, Deepak Chopra meditation challenge. And I didn't want to do it, but then I was like, well, we're doing it as a community, so I'm going to do it because it's a way for me to stay connected. But if I would, I probably wouldn't have done it by myself. So it's like, because she invited others in, now we're doing it together.
Yeah.
And so, whatever that is that you personally feel drawn toward, or can do it in real time with them. I think the other piece of that is that often as the yoga studio owner, you might not get that much time with your community face to face. And in a way, this could be a real gift, because what we found is that people generally wanted time with us, and we didn't really have a lot of time. Like, I might be able to connect with somebody for 5 minutes on the way in or the way out of my class because I was running the back end of things. So generally, I think students want to really connect with the leaders in their community and their favorite teachers and the studio owners. And this is a gift you can give them, is some real face-to-face time like this.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So I'll go through a couple of other ideas that I had. Then Roger will talk about SBA loans, and then we'll open it up for any questions, some ideas that we all can lean on. So in one of the very practical things that literally changes the way you think, your habitual pattern of thinking, is instead of focusing on what's wrong, focus on what you want. And once you oh, I can't pay rent right now. So focusing on how can I generate revenues. I mean, just giving an example, totally offhand right now, off the cuff right now. So how can I generate revenues even in these challenging times, immediately opens up a completely different part of your brain that can connect to solutions, to ideas, to creativity. So instead of focusing on what's wrong, focus on what you want. Your inner state will shift right away, and you will access your creativity and even divine guidance. Become mindful about your words, because your words create your worlds. And I just realized that hunkering down is the language of the victim. And I was saying oh, I'm hunkering down. We're hunkering down. We're going to weather the storm right here, all by ourselves here in our fortress here at Blue Sky Retreat Center. And then I realized that's actually not a very powerful language. So the moment you change your words, your reality also starts shifting. Okay, so let's talk about the loans, the government assistance that is available to us in this time.
Well, it's different in Canada. And I saw that some of you are from Canada, but I will say, maybe I could just start with rent abatement, because I posted a short video about that the other day. Canada and the US and Australia are common law countries. The common law, even most of your leases won't give you a way out when there's something big that comes up, like same thing with Hurricane Harvey, same thing with this virus. Most leases don't have what's called force majeure or act of God that excuses the tenant from paying rent. Now, it does often excuse the landlord if he can't provide the space due to an act of God. It's just the way that they're drafted usually. But the common law recognizes this idea of impossibility. Some places it's called impracticability or frustration of purpose. What that means is you can't occupy the space by a government. The government has basically told everyone right now, either the local government, the state government in the US, or the federal government, depending on where you are. So you actually can't even do what the whole contract is about, and that is be in your space and generate revenue from it. So what you can do is ask your landlord, hey, can I have rent abatement at least for April till we know more about what's going on? Because it's impossible for me to even occupy the space, which is the foundational understanding of the contract. In the best case scenario, the landlord is amenable to that, either by giving you a complete rent abatement for April, maybe even May, or or giving you some sort of split where you don't have to pay the rent part, you only have to pay the common part, like the what we call triple net. You're also paying the landlord's insurance, property taxes, that kind of thing. So I have seen landlords give a complete abatement already, first depending on the lease, depending on the landlord, for April, which is a huge relief. I've seen them give 50%, and I've seen them give all of the rent, but not the triple nets. So those are all things that you could potentially negotiate in a friendly way with them, just kind of letting them know. I would maybe a friendly email like, hey, what can we do together to get through this? Not like I'm not paying rent and like aggressively, but as a collective, like, hey, what can we do? Because we can't generate revenue right now and it's really tough. And we want to be here for a long time. The other thing I've seen people do is if they have a lease renewal coming up and they have a lease option, what they have done with the landlord is negotiate and say, hey, if you give me 3 months of free rent right now, I'll go ahead and sign that. Yeah, I wasn't going to sign it for 6 months or a year, but I'll go ahead and sign the thing now, and then you'll know that I'm going to be here. So then they can look in the future and go, okay, good. At some point, they're still going to be here. And right now I can give them some rent abatement, because if you leave, then they're going to have to market it. Nobody's going to rent right now. And then they have to pay for build out. Then they have to give them some free time anyway. So this is not different than someone else coming in, and you can use that as kind of leverage, as a negotiation. So those are some things you can do around your contract. And then in the States, it's very unclear right now, but we just passed a big stimulus package, and maybe in Canada and maybe in Australia and other places they're doing that too. And those are geared towards small businesses where you can get a loan, a short-term loan that can go toward rent. And in some cases, the details aren't out yet, that loan can be forgiven. Meaning if you use it for the right things, payroll, rent, those kind of things, the loan can be forgiven, meaning you don't have to pay it back. That seems to be the language that is coming out of the package, but the details aren't there yet. So what I would say is talk to your bank. If you have a lender that knows, and they won't know the answer either. And I just got off the phone with our lender, because we're in the same boat in that sense, that we have a mortgage on this place, and it's coming due, and we aren't generating revenue. So he suggested I go ahead and get on the SBA website, sba.gov, apply for the loan, and then we'll figure out what to do. But at least you'll get yourself into the queue, so that because there is going to be a big rush of people applying for help. And that includes restaurants, hotels, but small businesses are definitely, there's $377 billion that have been allocated to small businesses, low interest or no interest loans, so that if you had a short-term crunch, which might be coming up with the rent and things like that, you can get through this period. And then even if the loan isn't forgiven, it's going to be a very low interest loan. I don't like borrowing money generally, and this is going to be some of the more favorable terms that you've ever had. You might not even have to have any sort of personal guarantee, just some sort of collateral. But that's coming out at the end of this week, it looks like. So keep your eye on that.
Yes, and when I send out an email with a link to this video, I'll also add a link to the SBA loan, so you can right away start filling out those documents and applying, because like Roger said, there's going to be a big influx of people applying for these loans.
Yeah, so it hasn't been super complicated. I know they're going to ask for more information from our business that we'll have to give them, like our revenues and our cost of goods and things. So if you have good good books, or if you don't have good books, you might need to start getting the books in order so that you can show what you've been making for the last 12 months.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so there are things that you can do that can help, and I would definitely talk to my landlord right away if you haven't already, and say like, help, right? And can we get through this together? And look at your lease. Get an attorney to look at your lease. I would look at your lease too if you want me to. I've already looked at a bunch of people's. They generally say more or less the same thing, and I advise them to send out an email and call their landlord rep and try to work something out outside of the contract. So go ahead.
Yeah, what I was going to say is also the IRS pushed the deadline April 15th to a later date. It's a 90-day, right? It's a 90-day postponement of the income taxes due. So if you are, I just remembered of that, but if you expect a refund, it probably makes sense for you to go ahead and file as soon as possible. But if you expect that you'll have to pay money to the IRS, you have really good news because you don't have to pay it for the, it's pushed back another 90 days.
Yeah.
So let's, there are some questions or comments going on here. Thank you so much.
Yeah, should we let them say
Yeah,
one thing that they're doing, or one thing that they're thinking about doing?
Yeah, I'm gonna unmute you all if you guys want to comment anything or share some ideas, maybe something creative stuff that you guys are doing, or ask any questions. I just unmuted you guys, so go ahead.
Hey, Albina, it's Christine. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Hi, and Roger, thank you so much for taking the time today to put on this call. I just want to say that aside from you telling us that we're the leaders, we still need you to tell us we're the leaders, you know? And y'all saying that it's okay to be vulnerable in front of everyone and show the phases through this. I really just want to say I appreciated that so much. We started a subscription model, $19.99 for our yoga classes, and created the links unlisted. And that's been so wonderfully received from our community. And everyone that's a month-to-month member got it for free, or who bought the year got it for free. But because our members love it so much, they're sharing that, not the platform, but the idea with other people. So we're meeting new people with that $19.99 program. Do you think that it's too expensive? Do you think I should bring it down a little bit?
I think it's a good price if you are providing unlimited yoga. I think it's low enough, and I think you're doing a great job, Christine.
Okay, thank you. We're adding new classes every single day, so we're keeping them engaged and hoping that they continue to follow our program and our curriculum every single day. So they love that. Also, we created a yoga challenge online through Instagram and Facebook. And so everyone's posting with their children, and like they're doing, lotus pose with their children. And actually, I don't know, it's just been so great to see them include their whole family. And that has been so magical for us.
Yeah,
I think that's a great idea. And also, Christine, an idea popped up in my head. You know, in addition to yoga, from my experience of running my yoga studios, you know, I've noticed that also people usually like something in addition to just the physical practice. So that's why maybe like add meditation to that, or like I said, like Love Revolution and Manifest, or like Whole30. If there is room for that, and if you see it fit, perhaps you can also add some elements of something more than just the asana, right? Spiritual growth, meditation, healthy eating, inspiration, manifest magic, something like that.
Talks.
Little Dharma talks,
little short talks, and talking circles, maybe like this.
Oh yes, that's a good idea.
Where we get a chance to talk to each other.
I think that's a wonderful idea to like have once a week community open Zoom call where people can just connect and talk.
Mhm.
You know, I'm a part of Toastmasters and on Tuesdays, and at the end of the call, people just don't want to leave. They just
That's
sit
right.
there, nobody's hanging up. And this tells me that people crave that connection. And you as a yoga studio leader, I think you can really create something magical around that.
Okay.
Let's hear, thank you for sharing. Let's hear someone else what you're doing or considering doing. Just got to unmute yourself. Yeah, go ahead.
Monica.
Yeah. Hi. Yeah, here, I'll put this back on. I have my little guy, so he might hear him.
We love you guys.
The most of my community, it's a small community. It's a rural area, and people are far apart. A lot of single people, many of which are hurting. I got some really nice emails. I've been offering online on Facebook and Instagram, but not everybody's on it. So I have to learn how to use Zoom. But I really appreciate what you're doing, because I need the connection also. And my meditation classes have actually been the most populated online of anything that I've done online. It's always the meditation classes. I see name after name after name after name after name pop up. And I offer sound healing as well. So I have a lot of instruments, and I might, using what you suggested, I might just take my bowls around, and it's been sitting in my mind for a while, and say, you know what, I'm bringing my bowls out at X place. You want to come bring your cars or sit along the edge of the parking lot.
Drive-in.
And I'm just gonna play. And then if people are willing and they would like to donate, then they can. And also, again, I like the online learning platform. And for me, I wanted to take my work online for a long, long time. But the sound healing is special and powerful, and I'm very drawn to music and the meditation lately. So I'm opening it up to anybody else if someone else has ideas.
Yeah, great idea, Monica. And you can do the sound healing online too, if you have a decent microphone. And some apps work better than the microphone on your computer tends to work better than others. I ordered one of these little microphones that was $29, and it makes a big impact. We're not using it right now, but like when we're trying to do a live class, that helped. And especially when you're trying to pick up sound. But you could totally do a sound bath either as a meditation or its own thing. I love the idea of like drive-in sound bath. Like you just kind of hook up, roll down your windows, and you don't even have to get out of your car, right?
Well, this is the way I think people in my area especially are very concerned about the proximity. There's nobody coming close to anybody, and no one's visiting. Like, we're adhering by the rules pretty strictly, and it's the only way that I can think of to bring that real aspect out.
Mm-hmm.
So
I
like that innovation. I like that idea. Thank you, Monica.
Yeah, and a lot of musicians are putting concerts online right now. They're my friends and people I know, and then also famous people are like, they can't tour, so they're just doing it on Facebook Live and other ways. You can do the same thing with your sound.
Anybody else? We have about 5 more minutes.
Yeah, please do share, because we all get ideas from this. It's a collective.
Hey, it's Mandy. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. We are we're doing a book club still virtually now, which is fun.
Good idea.
And it's just a way for, I think, like you were saying, because we usually, before we do our Zoom classes, we let everybody connect and see each other and talk. And I think it's just providing a sense of normalcy and an opportunity to still connect with one another. And so we've been doing that. And then I feel like this is a time that's helping me because I've wanted to go virtual.
Yes.
We're in a seasonal town. So right now we have people that used to practice with us like in the winter time from up north, like now practicing with us online. So I'm taping all the classes also while they're streaming in hopes that we can package it up and then eventually make money in our sleep one day. So trying to find the silver lining in everything.
Good job, Mandy. And I think I saw, was it your studio where it was reading a book for kids?
We are going to do that. We haven't advertised that yet. We've been doing free yoga for medical like staff and employees. And that's been really easy to just send them the link. And I feel like it just gets our name out to people, but we're also then serving others. So that's been really nice to do too.
Wonderful.
Awesome.
You know, this morning, maybe this can be an idea for you guys. This morning, my youngest daughter was doing her schoolwork, and literally her teacher was reading them a book, and she was showing them pictures, and my kid was just totally fascinated. So if you guys have kids yoga offering, perhaps you can do something like that, because right now kids are driving their parents
And
nuts.
vice versa.
Yes, and vice versa. So maybe like a book reading type of thing, maybe before nighttime, include a couple of yoga poses for the kids and the whole family can do. I mean, just adding value, right? Adding value, creating connection and community with your people.
Anybody else want to share? Because this is really great stuff. I will have already gotten a ton of ideas out of this. We'd love to hear anything else you guys are doing or thinking about doing or saw other people doing that seems to be awesome.
Well, all right, guys. Again, thank you so much for joining us today. We can get through this, and we'll not only survive. I truly believe we will all thrive through this time, and we'll come out being stronger and better and more expanded and more evolved. Just like you all said, you know, I've always wanted to do this, but have never had the time, and I'm kind of forced to do that. So, Caroline, do you want to say something? Carolina?
You gotta take your mute off. We can help you.
Carolina, you are unmute.
Unmuted.
Unmuted. Uh-oh.
I still can't hear.
We can't hear you.
No.
Maybe it's a mute on your phone.
But we can see your smiling face. Well, while you're figuring that out, what I want to say is we all have this symbology in yoga of the Shiva Nataraj, right? Shiva Nataraj is the fire dancer. Right in the middle of the fire, there's grace and there's poise. And I always think of that, like in the most challenging times, we have access to that dance, you know, to joy, we always have access to it. We always have access to grace, to joy, and it's easy to forget. And that's what yoga practice helps us remember, is and it's that dance actually that holds up the whole universe. If you remember the story, that the dancing of Shiva in the middle of the fire is what keeps the universe going.
Dang, I just got goosebumps.
And you can be that dancer. You get to be that for your community right now. Like I can totally feel it. Like we're just dancing, right, with our foot up in our. So keep dancing in the fire.
I'm unmuting you all, guys. You can just say bye or
Bye,
you
thank
go.
Or namaste.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Good luck, you guys. We love you. We'll talk
Take
soon.
care.
Take care.
Bye.